Hodges. I'm from the Engineering and Machinery Alliance.
Okay, fantastic. And you are?
And Graeme Philp, I'm the Chief Executive of Gambica, which is the Automation Trade Association.
Fantastic. And you are?
And I'm Graeme Collier, Head of Marketing for BARA, British Automation and Robot Association.
Fantastic. And what are you doing here today? What's going on here today?
So this is a pretty unique event that the manufacturer organises each year, which is a mixture of end users and automation suppliers coming together to discuss the benefits of automation to businesses.
Okay, and what kind of turnout has there been, and what has your involvement been?
I think it's been first class, very good content, very good presentations. Festo in particular, they always deliver a very good presentation, and addressing the apprenticeship skills gap.
Okay, and there's two conferences going on, so that's the skills side of things.
Yep.
What's gone on the automation side that's been particularly good?
So we've been talking about the challenges of applying automation and discussing some tactics to overcome those. Always a resistance to change in industry.
And also how automation helps a small company that's sort of confined in terms of restrained and constrained in terms of its productivity and expansion, how automation helps it actually expand into new markets and indeed discover new products and new ways to make new products, to take it into a completely different area. So, well, not a completely different area, but a much more developed and precise area of its product offering. So it's fantastic, I think.
So what are the big challenges around skills and around automation?
So skills, it's the same story that you hear from engineering in general. We have a skills gap, not just young people coming into the profession, but also around about the 30 to 40 age group, where we are desperately short of trained engineers, and so we're all looking for a more integrated approach from government on skills provision, particularly the enhancement of apprenticeship programs, so we get a good balance of vocational training and academic training.
I think also it's really important to look at things from a sort of quite fundamental position. In reality, schools haven't delivered on things like maths, and until people can come out, students can come out from secondary school with a good grounding, basic grounding in mathematics and communication, then we're not going to have the technologists that we need in most companies, most manufacturing companies.
Okay, so is there any way that manufacturers can take charge of this? What can manufacturers do about this?
Manufacturers have quite a few opportunities. The employee ownership scheme, for example, actually puts employers in a position to determine what they absolutely need. And if they put in funding, government will put in the same amount to help them train their people. But it's more fundamental than that. I go back to the thing. You've got to have the basic science, you've got to have the basic maths. We have some fantastic scientists. We have some fantastic PhDs. We need a lot of technologists to help the automation, to run alongside the automation, to manage the automation. You don't need to be a PhD graduate.
Right.
You need to be numerate and communicate.
Okay. You've got some energy for this, I'm seeing.
Well, we try.
It's the biggest single issue affecting the industry, so I think we're all pretty energised by it.
Okay.
But as Rupert says, half the problem is being addressed in the right way. The lead is being given back to industry rather than training providers, which is great. We've got to do something with the schools and the output from schools, and that needs more than just industry input.
Okay. And so how do you see the manufacturer? How is the manufacturer benefiting the industry?
It's raising awareness in particular. It does a very good job of doing that across the industry. And I think really that is part of the problem. There just is a lack of awareness in both automation and a lack of awareness of the importance of apprenticeships as a route to manufacturing.
Yeah. And does that go beyond, what is the value of these kinds of events? How do you see the value of these events?
I think predominantly networking is a wonderful value. There are no other events, or very few other events, where you'd get this breadth of experience in one room, and you can hear by the conversations going on in this room, there's an awful lot of networking going on, people who probably wouldn't otherwise have met up.
Exactly, there's a real buzz here, isn't there?
There is.
There is.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about manufacturing in general? Is it in good shape? Is it in...
Yeah, it's pretty relatively buoyant. Yeah.
Okay, as positive as that?
Yes, I would say
I'd be a little bit less upbeat. I would say there's a window of opportunity for manufacturing. There's a willingness from the public to actually begin to understand the value that manufacturing can bring the economy. I think we've got to seize on that, because I think when the public think it's important, politicians will think it's important, but attention spans are short, and we have to grab it while the opportunity's there.
Exactly.
I think that's a really good point. I think there is a lot of talk around things. There's a lot of good intention. There's a lot of good intention from both parties, both main political parties, to try and do the right thing. But there's also a cultural aspect to what it is. And whether the UK and the Brit character really is prepared to adapt and make long-term commitments. As a politician, will I make a 5-year, 10-year commitment to follow through on policies that weren't mine, that were the opposition's? Am I prepared to do that? And until we get that sort of approach, strategic approach, it will be quite difficult in the UK. You can see the beginnings of it. But to deliver that, that's a long-term commitment, like we were talking about in the educational sphere. So, yeah, things are going in the right direction, but it's a long haul. It's not
Certainly
a short
that.
one.
Yeah.
And there's opportunity, that's what we're feeling.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what this conference is highlighting. We've just heard from a very small company that's done some fantastic things through automation, and it's revolutionised the company. And it's only tiny, but, from small acorns and all the rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these two issues, skills and automation, go hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So how do we motivate manufacturers who aren't here to come along in future? Because they'd benefit, would they?
Well, I think you do it with the manufacturing awards scheme, don't you, as well, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's not just at a conference like this. I mean, it's got to be a much broader thing, and obviously you can't be alone in this. I mean, you do a jolly good job, but there are the professional institutions and so on, and they have a big role in all of that, as do sort of enthusiasts and people who look after trade associations to get more guys involved and more businesses involved.
Yes, we're very much in touch with the industry, as is Gambica, and so we can certainly help the manufacturer get more people into an event like this.
That would be fantastic. Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think that's...
No, just keep on doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.